Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Saturday broadcast. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and in our Facebook group. And I wanted to, make this broadcast to summarize the bills that passed in a couple of days ago. We're talking about the bills that passed in the House, specifically the bills relating to the DREAM Act, the agricultural bill, and also we'll talk about what happens on the Republican side with the Dignity Plan. So we'll talk about all that, who qualifies. There's a lot of confusion, so I've decided to kind of summarize that for you guys to see who qualifies, who is in, who is out, and I made this little summary for you guys. So if you're watching from YouTube, make sure that you post your comments below, and I'll be able to answer them at the end of the stream. If you're watching on Facebook, do the same, post your comments, and make sure you share this video with somebody that may need it. So let's jump right in. Like I said, I'm going to talk about the two bills that passed, who qualifies, who doesn't qualify, and also what's going to happen, when those bills are going to become law, because there's a lot of confusion about that as well. And I'm going to see, here we go, guys. We've got Marlene, Raphael, Lori, welcome. Just, keep posting your comments, and I'll get to you in a few seconds. So let's dive right in. I made the summary based on the questions I've been getting. People are a little bit confused, so let's jump right in. Make sure you stick to the end of the broadcast, because I'm going to be answering your questions, and also we'll give you some predictions about what's going to happen. So we have two bills passed in the House. We've got the American Dream and Promise Act of 2021, and we've got the Farm Workforce Modernization Act of 2021. And I'll kind of dive into each one of those bills and give you the highlights based on the questions that you were asking me in the past 24 hours. So first of all, what is the Dream and Promise Act, also known as HR 6? This is how they title the bills in the House. And this is a bill that's supposed to create a path for citizenship, a permanent residency for at least 2 million dreamers, those people that came to, those kids who came to the United States before the age of 18. Some of them got DACA, deferred action. Others didn't qualify for DACA for whatever reason. And also for people that came here on TPS and also deferred enforced departure, DED. Those are people that were not able to go back home because of a crisis or some sort of an issue in their country, and they got temporary status to stay. Like recently we had Venezuela and Burma and Syria that were added to that. Well, people like that are going to be able to transition to permanent status, and we'll talk about that in a second, how that can happen. I see a lot of you coming in with Rosie, Larby, Shrey. Shrey, actually for you, some good information right now. I'm gonna give you the details about the farm workers, because we got a lot of farm workers that we work with. In fact, I don't know if many of you know, but several years ago, we had a large H2a practice. We've done a lot of visas for farm workers from all over the US. At some point, we had more than 100 farms that I was working with, creating H2a, getting them H2a visas. H2a, if you Google H2a visas, you'll see a lot of our articles appear very high in Google. So I'm excited to go back into farm visas, because those people definitely deserve to stay here. So let's dive right in. Keep posting your questions, and I will answer at the end about also State Department issues and also embassies and stuff like that. And I'll give you a rundown about the new videos that I'm working on specifically for you for this coming week. We've got some cool updates for you as well. So let's dive right in. So what is the DREAM Act of 2021? So this is going to allow those kids that entered here into the United States as kids, overstayed, some of them had DACA, to eventually get conditional permanent resident status and eventually get their green cards. So what are the requirements? Who can actually apply for this conditional permanent resident status? The status will be good for up to 10 years, and eventually they're going to be able to apply for their green card. So first of all, you had to be continuously physically present in the United States on or before January 1st of 2021. So remember, unlike DACA, where you had to come here before 2007, here the requirements expanded it to January 1st of 2021. You had to be here before that. Anybody who shows up right now is not going to qualify. The age was also expanded. You had to be 18 years old or younger on the initial date of entry to the United States. So if you came here and you were 19, 20, 21 or older, you're not going to qualify. You cannot be inadmissible. So certain criminal, security, terrorism, smuggling, if you lied on your student visa application and you overstayed because you abused your student visa, you worked as a student, for example, and you were caught, you're not eligible for that. That's something that a lot of questions that I'm getting from people about. It's not just criminal things. There's a strong focus on student visa abuse, people that worked as a student, people that didn't go to school when they're supposed to, they're not going to qualify into this. Any title, child abduction, any issues with taxes, if you voted unlawfully. Also we're looking about the expanded of offenses. If you have 3 or more federal state offenses, domestic violent crime, sexual assault, things like that. Obviously, if you have crimes, you have to speak to an attorney to make sure that you will qualify. They have to evaluate that. You have to graduate from high school, obtain a GED. That's really important. And also you have to pass some security background checks as well to make sure that you don't have any violations. So again, these are requirements that definitely expanded beyond what we know for DACA. And I know it's going to help a lot of people. People are kind of confused about it. So, and I'll answer your question. People are asking me, well, what's going to happen now? This is just a bill. When is that going to become law? I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes. I just want to kind of go through the requirements. So how do you become a green card holder? This is just a temporary legal status. It'll get you a work permit and you can stay here. But how do you get a green card? So you have to, if you were one of those dreamers, you would definitely have to get some kind of a degree, or at least 2 years in good standing in an educational program, or military service 2 years, or you have to be employed. And there's a percentage of time of how long you have to be employed. So that's pretty good. About other things that the Act included is also some financial aid for dreamers to be able to go to school, some benefits if you went to the military, and other things like that. Also, very important provision, those people that were removed or currently outside of the United States, they're going to be able to apply for relief to come back to the United States from overseas, which is really important because I have a lot of questions from people that are not inside the United States and they want to know if they can qualify for some of these programs. There are some limited provisions that will allow some people to apply from overseas. So let's talk a little bit about TPS for a few minutes. So if you have temporary protected status, you're from one of those countries, Venezuela, Syria, Myanmar, how do you qualify for path for residency? Well, you have to be in the United States for a period of 3 years before this act passes, and which means people that come here, after the act becomes law, they're not going to qualify. You have to be eligible for TPS on September 17, 2018, or you had the DD status before January 20, 2021. So it is important to remember those dates. It's definitely going to help a lot of people that apply for TPS, and eventually, one thing that is important in this bill is that it created basically admission status for TPS holders, which means that if you have TPS, you can file for adjustment of status inside the United States, even if you entered here illegally, which is huge. Those are some of the important things about that. Let me see. I try to summarize as much as I could. There's also obviously eligibility for family members. There's some fee exemptions for certain things, certain applications. Yeah, so that's with respect to TPS. Let me see here. And I'll get back to your questions. Make sure you keep posting your questions. If you're watching this from YouTube, post your questions in the comments. Make sure you click the notification bell to subscribe to our channel. If you're here on Facebook, drop your questions in the comments and I'll get back to you. And I'll look at the comments at the end of the live stream. We've got a lot of people here from North Africa, from got people from Japan here, from Saudi Arabia. Amazing. This was just an unplanned live, but I wanted to answer a lot of the questions that I'm getting here from a lot of my viewers. So let's talk about the Farm Workforce Modernization Act of 2021. A lot of questions about this because people are confused as to who exactly is a farmer. So first of all, you have to show that you have at least 180 days of agricultural employment in the past 2 years. So it could be working on the farm, picking berries. There's some landscapers working that those kind of facilities can qualify. There's a lot of definition for what is a farm worker, but it's important that you were engaged in that kind of activity at least for 6 months in the past 2 years. Those visas are going to be provided for 5 years. It's going to be renewable every 5 years, and you have to be at least working 100 days in an agricultural field to be able to get that renewal. And eventually, once you have the temporary status as an agricultural worker, you're going to be able to qualify to apply for a green card by paying a fine, just like we had with the Life Act. You would pay $1,000 fine, and you would have to obviously show that you worked in agriculture at least within the last 10 years. And you have to, and then you'll be eligible for LPR status. So the good thing is that this act allows people to move from temporary status as an agricultural worker to permanent status, which is something that we didn't have. This act also improves the H2a program. I'm not going to talk too much detail about it, but the H2a visa allows somebody who works in agriculture to come here for a seasonal period of time to help the farm meet the shortage that they have. It expands this program. It's going to make it permanent. It's going to look like the H1B visa program. It's going to have a 3-year term. They're going to work on fixing the wages and how people are getting paid on this. But the key is that they're going to have a special cap of 40,000 specific visas, 40,000 green cards specifically available for agricultural workers, which not only is going to encourage more people to get into the space, but also people that work in the space are going to be able to transition to green cards. So I know you guys have a lot of questions about that, and I will be able to answer them in a few minutes as well. So these are great news. We have those 2 bills, by the way, passed by a huge majority, and it gives us some hope for what is going to happen next. I want to say one more thing about the Republican side. So from the Republican side, they came up with what is called the Dignity Plan, and started by Republican Maria Salazar, and it's going to create obviously a path for legal residency for the Dreamers, which is very similar to what we saw in the other act, but it's going to have a very strong focus on border security, more measures of who can come in here, and eventually they're going to create a legislation with a 10-year path for legal status for people that are not non-felons and been here in the country legally and lived here for a while to be able to get their green cards as well. So there is interesting side from the Republican side to come up with their own version of something that will be acceptable. So right now, the status of these bills, they passed the House. Now we need to have the Senate come up with its own version of the DREAM Act and the Farm Bill as well. And if those bills are going to be able to be reconciled, they're going to go to the president, they're going to sign the bills, and it's going to become law. So right now, this is not law. This is a very, very big step. Remember, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that kind of movement, that kind of immigration work progress since 2013. So I fully believe that we are definitely on the right path here. It's going to create, again, even if Biden's big bill is not going to pass right away, which I don't believe it will pass right away, that piecemeal legislation that we see here right now is going to be vital for positivity in the immigration space. If you get the green cards for the dreamers and the farm workers, then we are left with dealing with 11 million undocumented immigrants, and then something else will pass for that. So, but remember, that is still not law yet. So hopefully that kind of answers some of your questions. Those of you that are joining right now, you can rewind the video after the live and see some of the breakdown that I gave you. Let me take some questions. We got Alex asking you about embassy update. I've done 2 videos in the past week. I gave you a detailed update about immigrant visas update. Right now, the embassies are slowly reopening. As you can see, legislation moving inside the United States. You can also see that embassies are trying to catch up, get up to speed, and hopefully, as they are going back to routine normal processing, your job is to focus and follow up with your individual embassy to see when they're reopening. They're not going to reopen all at the same time. I've done at least 4 videos in the past 2 weeks about that. And this coming week, I'm going to do videos about what happens with green card holders that are stuck overseas. They're not going to able to come back because of COVID-19. What do you do in that situation? I have a full-blown video just on that to help you guys and save those of you that are stuck overseas. Let me see here. Why do these people just go around in circles? If you mean to the legislation, this is just how it works, you know. Let me see here. I'm taking another few questions. When are they going to vote on this in the Senate? Good question. So I believe that this is going to happen probably by the end of the spring, maybe sometime in April. We'll see. But it's not going to be too long, and we'll see what happens. Again, it's not going to be easy. You know, we need definitely some more advocacy on this, and we need more push for people to understand that they need this to pass. How do I show that I'm a farm worker? Great question. So remember, farm workers are people that either worked on farms or work with contractors working with farms. The best way to show it is maybe you can get a letter from a former employer. Maybe you have some kind of a certification. Maybe you have some pay stubs that show that you were working on a farm or related. It's going to be really important because a lot of people that were working in that kind of jobs could qualify for green cards if they don't qualify in any other way. So if you were connected with working on a farm or somehow related to that, you need to come up with that evidence to be able to show. Let me see here. Some people said that I'm blurry. I'm sorry. I'm not using my usual equipment today, but I wanted to use this platform so I can share my screen with you. Hopefully you can see me better now. So we take a couple more questions. I'll get back to your questions in the comments. I just wanted to kind of come up on quick live. I'm using my, I'm using like a phone camera here. So hopefully it's not too bad for you guys, but I wasn't able to use my regular camera today. So anyway, just a quick update again about the bills that passed a couple of days ago. Keep posting your questions in the comments. I will be back in a couple of days with another live, and also new videos are coming up tomorrow and the rest of the week. Cool updates. So once again, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're in our Facebook group, make sure to drop the comments in the thread so I'll be able to come back and answer those questions. Have a beautiful Saturday, and I'll see you in our next live. Thank you guys.